Good morning, Westgate. My name is Dane Edwards. I'm a senior at Ephrata High School, and some of you might know me from my time volunteering in Kids Track, and then some of you might know me as Dane Engel's grandson. As Ella said, God came to me in October and said, "Hey, I want you to do this." And I said, "Oh, 200 people. That sounds so great." But God tells me to do something, and I'm going to do it because I trust Him, and I know He's not going to lead me down into a hole. So I have a question for y'all. And you don't actually have to answer, just show your hands. If you could go back in time and you could do one thing differently, change something, stop something, would you do it? Show of hands. See a lot of hands. All right, so what if I just told you that you all just turned your back on God? Sounds crazy, right? I mean, this guy's up here for 2 minutes and he's already going around making accusations. Can you believe it? But just hear me out. So God has a plan for each and every one of us, right? And when you go back in time and you change something, you step on the wrong blade of grass, everything changes, right? But when you change that, God had already something in play, right? So when you make a mistake, even if you don't see it, God will make something good to come out of it. There's a whole song about it. And I wish we sang it up here today because it is such a great song. And the lyric I'm referring to is, you take what the enemy meant for evil and you turn it for good. And, when you do that, when you so selfishly go back in time and you change whatever you did wrong, whatever good God would have pulled out of it would have put into life. Even if you hadn't seen it, someone else might have, it doesn't happen. God knows what's going on, and if you are in a bad path, if you did do something wrong, you can talk to Him. He loves it when you talk to Him. He loves having relationships with us, and a little prayer and reading His Word goes a long way. In the Bible, there's a man who goes through quite the crisis, and it's actually multiple put into one, which kind of sucks, doesn't it? He wasn't happy, to say the least, and you see, Job, he was a very prosperous man. He had children, lots of land, and livestock to feed on it. He worshiped God every day, but one day, Satan goes up to God and he says, He doesn't actually care about you. He doesn't actually love you. He's doing this because he's so prosperous, and if he wasn't, he wouldn't even give you the time of day. He wouldn't love you. So he says, "Give him to me, God. I will show you that I'm right." And God says, "Well, all right, go for it." So Satan goes, and he just destroyed Job's life. He takes away all his children. He burns his land. Livestock is all dead. And he gives him every disease known to man at the time. On top of all that, he still has to bury his children. That just sucks. I cannot imagine what he must have been going through. But instead of, sulking about it, instead of turning his back on God, he decides to continue praising God, continue worshiping God, continue praying to God, because he knows that God still loves him. Even if he doesn't see it at the moment, he knows that whatever happens, God is in control and God will take care of him. So God shows this to Satan and he says, "You're wrong." He doesn't actually care that much for his earthly possessions. He's more focused on his reward in heaven and his eternal life with me. With that, Job, all that time ago, he didn't even have the Bible yet to go off of, but he still trusted God. Even with all that, I don't know if I could go through that. I would probably, I'd have a breakdown, you know what I mean? I'm sure most of us would not be able to take that. But he did. And he still trusted God, and he stuck with him to the end. I challenge you all to read the book of Job. You probably will inspire you, and definitely inspired me. And with that is all I have. And now we will transition to the video announcements.